If there are no ideals, one cannot deal adequately with the psychological crises and the resultant social conflict. And how can mere individual change and affect the whole? If there are no ideals, one cannot deal adequately with the psychological crises and the resultant social conflict. And how can mere individuals change affect the whole? Waiting for me to answer this. Why do we have ideals at all? Is it a means of avoiding the present and therefore giving importance to the future? Or do ideals actually guide us? That's the implication, one of the implications in the question of ideals, why we have ideals. Most of us do, unfortunately. What is more important, it seems to one, is what is actually going on in our own consciousness, in our own behavior, in our own attitudes, and so on. If I have an ideal, a direction, then the direction, the ideal becomes far more important, doesn't it, than the actual. We're together in this, where you and the speaker are investigating together the question. The speaker is not answering the question, but together, if you will, nice, quiet, not too noisy a morning. Fortunately, they've stopped all that racket that goes on. So we can talk over together this idea, this concept of having ideals. You have ideals, many of them. And they actually don't affect our daily living. We like to have these ideals affecting our lives, but actually they have no value at all. Because it's nice to think we have marvelous ideals, marvelous utopian ideals, communist, socialist, and religious ideals, capitalist ideals, ideals of a nation, a group, and the whole network of ideals. And as they have no direct influence or direct relationship with our daily life, one doesn't see the point of having them at all. It's nice to dream about something, imagine a lot of lovely things in life, but life is much more complex, much more important than the projection of ideals which are brought about by thought. Are we together so far? So can we put away our ideals and face actual facts? Facts being that which has happened before, which has happened previously, and that which is happening now. Those are facts. The future is not a fact. The future may affect, may be shaped by the present, but but the present is the fact. So could we forget the future, which is the ideal, what should be the goal, the purpose, all that implies a motive, and motive means a movement. Movement in a particular direction. So you've already established the direction towards which you are going, which is your ideal, and therefore you're not facing the present. I don't know if you follow all this. Is this a little too complex? And it's one of the factors in life that all through history, from the Greek and the ancient people, these ideals have existed. The Greeks have principles, ideals. It has gone, these ideals have existed for millennia, and we are still slave to them. So can one be free of ideals, that is the future, and face the present, which is the fact. I'm unhappy and I want to be happy. I'm dull, but I want to be clever, bright. I don't examine why I'm unhappy. What are the causes of disturbance? That's a fact. What are the causes? But if I have an ideal that I must be happy, the future is still unhappiness. I don't know if you understand. Because I have not investigated the causes of my unhappiness. And when the cause can be changed, as causes can be put aside or demolished or understood, then the change takes place. Unless the cause is being understood, merely the pursuit of happiness has no meaning. I wonder if you are meeting all this. Am I working for you or are you working together? Would you kindly tell me, is the speaker working for you, thinking, looking at it all, or are we thinking together, looking at it together? If we are thinking together, the question asks, if there are no ideals, can one adequately, clearly act when there is a psychological crisis? If there are no ideals, no direction, this is very complex, no direction, which means no motive, can one deal then with the psychological crises that arise in our daily life? What are crises? What would you call a problem, a challenge? Crises are the product of our past inadequate attention. A crisis, a problem, a challenge, how do we face them? That's more important, surely, than the crisis. how we face a crisis, how we look at a problem. Right? Would you agree to that? How we approach a problem. If I have a problem and I want that problem to be solved in a particular way, then I'm not meeting the problem. I want that problem to be solved in my way, for my comfort, for my selfishness, for my well-being, both psychologically and physically. So, isn't it isn't it important to find out how we approach a problem? Not the problem, but our coming near it. Approach means come near. How do we approach it? Do we approach it with a brain that has already been conditioned to solve problems? You understand? May we go into, though perhaps you have heard this before in the talks, may we again repeat it without too much boredom. From childhood, we are trained to solve problems. Whole educational system is to solve problems. Mathematical problems, scientific problems, biological problems, architectural problems. So our brain is conditioned to solve problems. So the brain is already conditioned to the resolution of problems. It is not free to solve problems. It is conditioned to solve problems. You understand? I wonder, is this clear? Don't say yes, Alice. A problem, the meaning of that word, problem, means something thrown at you. The etymological meaning of that word is something propelled towards you, thrown at you. And if it is a defensive reaction, then you withdraw, you tighten up. But if you have freedom to look at the problem, not the resolution of the problem. I wonder, am I making myself clear? Yes? Then the brain is free from its conditioning to solve problems. Therefore you approach it afresh. You understand? To have a brain that has no problems, then it can solve problems. But if it has problems, then it can't solve any problem, which is what is happening. Politically, religiously, science, you follow, all up and down our social structure, or scientific business. So one must ask, how do I approach a problem? With fear or with a desired solution, or something that will give me more profit in the business world or in the psychological world? So if the brain is free from its conditioning, then it can solve any problem without creating more problems in the solution of problems. You understand? Look, it's fairly simple. Look what the governments are doing in the world. They try to solve one problem, and in the very solution of that problem, they bring about a dozen other problems. The speaker has discussed with several high politicians. They are depending on votes to be elected. Therefore, they're. Can I go on with this kind of stuff? You're not politicians here. And most of us are politicians, all right. So, what is happening is, throughout the world, most unfortunately for human beings, these politicians who are conditioned to solve problems bring about many more problems. And they cannot, as we have discussed with some of them, cannot see this question at all. Because there are so many problems in this country. Poverty, overpopulation, industrial slackness, you know, GNP and so on. So, can we look at a problem, something thrown at you, with freedom? Then you solve the problem. And further the question I ask, how can mere individual change affect the whole? It's one of our favorite questions, which means, if I can't affect the whole, what's the point of my changing? It's a good slack way of thinking. First of all, this question, to answer this, one must go very deeply into the whole problem, whether we are individuals at all. Please take it, I'm questioning this. Are we separate human beings? Physically, we are. Biologically, we are. You are a man, I'm a woman, or you're a child, and so on. You may have a separate bank account, and I may have no account. You may do a very good business, especially in this country, under the table, you know, the rest of it. And so biologically, physically, we are separate. You're tall, I'm short, and you're bright, I'm not, and so on. Psychologically, inwardly, are we individuals? Question is, please. I know our condition throughout long periods of time, we have been conditioned to think we are separate individuals, psychologically. Our personal salvation, the soul, the ego, the art, for all the structure of separate individualistic psychological attitudes. We are questioning that. Whether we are actually individuals. Your name may be different from mine. Your culture may be, different, which is some superficial coating. Have you noticed something extraordinary that's happened in this country? Have you noticed something? This country has had, whether you like it or not, a culture for 3,000 to 5,000 years. Whether you good or bad, that's not the point. The Brahmanical, non-Brahmanical, don't be against Brahmins, I'm not, or for. I'm just saying there's been a certain culture. And overnight it has disappeared. Right? Completely gone. Why? Not that there mustn't be change, not that the people who exploited shouldn't be put aside, but the meaning of that word culture, the growth, the culture of a flower, culture of a human being, all that is completely gone in this country. So culture is rather superficial, traditional, a verbal repetition. So there's never been a depth to this from what historical one observes. So that's what, have you observed, that's why I asked, if I may, have you observed this strange fact that's taking place all over the world? So are we separate psychological individuals, a separate soul? You don't mind if we go into it? Not you're going to listen to the speaker. We are working together, please. I'm not, if I may say, the speaker is not your guru. He has no followers. One must make this absolutely clear. You want to follow, and the speaker says, don't. The speaker is not your guru. He's not instructing what you should think or do. But together, let's proceed. Therefore, if we together work these questions out, you then become the teacher and the disciple. You understand this? That is, in investigating this very complex question of whether we are individuals, in investigating together, you are learning. In the process of learning, you want to instruct others, tell others. So you yourself become the guru and the disciple at the same time. I wonder if you understand this. So that this terrible division between the knower and the not known becomes absurd. You may know mathematics, I don't. You inform me, I accept it. But we are not psychologically put together that way. We are a living thing. So we must look and find out whether we are individuals. That means one must have a skeptical attitude about individuality. Right? Now, our consciousness, which is what we are, both the unconscious and the conscious, is what we are. Consciousness is made up of all our beliefs, dogmas, theories, ideals, hopes, anxiety, fears, sorrow, pain, affection if one has it. All that is our consciousness. It's what you are. Right? Your belief, your tradition, your despair, your urge to fulfill, your gods, your fulfillment, the pursuit, all that is your consciousness. That's what you are, essentially, to which is added a name, K or Y or X. Now, that consciousness is shared by all human beings. They suffer, whether they live in Russia, China or America or other parts. They are anxious like you. They have their own beliefs like you. They are frightened, suffer, shed tears, laughter, see the beauty of the world, just like if you see the beauty of the world, which I doubt. So, your consciousness is not yours. It's shared by all human beings. I wonder if you agree to that. Not agree, see the fact. I am educated abroad. My learning, my superficial acquisition of a different culture, different education, this is all a coating outside. But inside the skin as it were, I suffer as you do. I'm anxious as you are. I'm not, but I'm supposing. I'm frightened as you are. I'm seeking security as you are. I quarrel with my wife, and she quarrels with me. We sensuously enjoy each other, sexually, sensuously. And this is happening the world over, whether in Japan, in China, or in Indonesia, or in Ceylon. Everywhere, human beings are unconsciously sharing the same thing, right? And therefore they feel they are separate, because it's my suffering. When you suffer, when my son dies, I suffer. I'm lost, I'm confused. I may go to the temple, which I find absolutely useless, but I still suffer from being in the temple, or the mosque, or the church. And you suffer, because your wife may be turned away from you. So we both suffer. Suffering shared by each one of us. Right? So where is there individuality in suffering? You understand my question? Is this clear? I like to think it's my suffering. It's not like your suffering. And in suffering, I feel isolated. Right? Haven't you noticed all this?
Sir, excuse me. If you have a pain in your toe, I don't feel it, sir.
Huh?
If you have a pain in your toe,
if I have pain, the gentleman says in my toe, naturally I don't share it with you. Bananas, sir. I'm talking, sir, psychologically, inwardly. Suppose I have a headache. Of course you haven't got a headache. You may never know what headache is. as the speaker doesn't know what a headache is. You may have a headache, you understand? But we are talking of common suffering of mankind. No? Suffering of, so we have had thousands of wars. Historically, there have been 5,000 to 6,000 years of wars. Imagine, if you can, how many people have suffered these 5,000 years. Maimed, shed tears, lost their sons, their husbands, their followers. And we're still pursuing the same path. So we share the common suffering of the whole of mankind. And therefore, we are mankind. You understand the beauty of this? Please, not here. It's not a theory. It's not a speculative appreciation of the whole. But these are facts. You may not be able to travel. If you go to America and talk to some of the people, they're exactly like you. You may have brown skin, they have a lighter skin. But below the skin, they have a hell of a time. And so do you. Sorry to use that word, it's a good word. So, where is their individuality? Except you have a bank account. You are darker, taller, shorter, but inwardly, our consciousness is similar. There's modifications depending on environment, culture, and so on, but essentially it is shared, common to all of us. So when one realizes that, not as an idea, as a theory, as an ideal, then you follow? Then you become tremendously responsible. Right? And probably we don't want to be responsible, therefore we talk about our own individual growth, individual achievements, individual ambitions, which is tearing the world apart. I don't know if you notice all this. We are so terribly conceited about our own individual existence that the world is broken up into little groups, into little individuals. There is never a feeling of the whole human existence, human beings. Right? Now, we have answered the question. Next, we've investigated the question. And therefore the question is, the answer is in the question, not outside the question. I wonder if you see this. So to have the capacity, the art of questioning, you understand? The art, so that you don't look to another. You do affect the whole. Questioner say, what effect has the, if you, see, I won't use the word you. If there is a fundamental change in consciousness, you are stepping out of that consciousness of greed, envy, all that. When the brain steps out of that, it affects the quality of the rest. which is Hitler has affected the whole world, right? The Christian Jesus has affected certain parts of the world. The Buddha has affected. Attila, Napoleon, your own kings have affected the world. You understand? They're all so-called separate individuals. They have had tremendous effect on human consciousness. So it's foolish to ask, what effect have my changing, will it change society? Society is created by you, right? By your greed, by your envy, by your desire to compete, ruthlessness, brutal, and that's what society is. So, the socialists, the communists, and even the Democrats tried to change the environment, hoping that it will affect the human behavior, but it hasn't. So, changing to step out of the stream of our daily consciousness is to change consciousness, right?